Good evening, and welcome to Drie, Bokke, a ball and BlitzBOD. You can see I've got two very, very special guests this evening. But firstly, just a quick word to Workshop 17 for allowing us to use the space. Mr. De Villiers is in the same space as I tonight. I've just sort of kicked him out of the main room to the spare bedroom, but he is here as well at Workshop 17, so that's amazing. So let's just go for it. Mr. P. De Villiers, how are you, sir?
Thank you for having me tonight, and it's an honor to be with such a great hero like Rhyno. You know, when we were on the field, people looked and watched us, and they said a lot of bad things about us. But I never heard anything bad about him. So yeah, it's great to be with him, and thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you're most welcome. And of course, we do have the Cheetahs fullback wing, depending on where he's picked or where he wants to play this week. Rhyno Smith, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, thanks, Andy. You're humbled by Mr. Villiers' kind words yesterday. So, yeah, I mean, how old was I when Coach was coaching the box? And so, yeah, nogals hectic. Pleasure to meet you and pleasure to be on the show. Yeah, thanks for having me.
How old were you? How old were you? They're going to show your age.
I was. When did Coach take over? In 2012? No,
right.
2008.
2008, yeah.
Yo, so I was 15, I think, yeah.
Ah.
Yes, you still look 15, except the hair.
Yeah, I'm losing hair at the rate of knots. Yeah, it's a problem.
Well, let's speak about your health right now. How's the injury?
I'm getting there. I'm in week 5 now of what we predicted would be a 6-week return to play. I tore my rec fem, my one quad muscle, in our one warm-up game, just playing against one another. So, man, I was in the middle of the field, nobody close to me, and I tried to kick the ball to the corner. And as I made contact with the ball, I just felt something go. Yeah, not a great feeling, and then got help with the field. And since then, it's been steady progress towards where I am today. So I'm training with the team some days and not full sessions yet. But I'm getting there, feeling stronger every day, and yeah, need to work on my fitness. You lose it quickly, but yeah, excited to be back.
Yeah, good.
Your rugby brain will make up for your fitness. Don't you worry.
I hope so, Coach. I hope so.
And how happy is that squad to be back on the rugby fields?
I think not only us. I think South Africa, the world is happy to have rugby back. Us obviously more so because it affects our day-to-day life a little bit more. We don't have to run as much anymore. We get to at least pass the ball to one another now. So it's been great to have that back in our lives. Obviously after a pretty decent performance last week, the guys happy to, you know what a Monday is like after you've played well. Guys are excited, levels are high. You like watching the video sessions are enjoyable. So yeah, definitely that's where we are as a squad. And we're still working hard. The job is obviously not done. And yeah, that's kind of the mindset and I guess the chemistry right now.
Yeah, I'm not going to put you directly on the spot with what's happening in the rugby world, especially up in the Free States. I'm going to hand over to Peter and just say, Peter, put yourself in sort of Rhyno and the squad's shoes there with what's happening with regards who will be playing in what competition next year. How have you read into the situation that's happening with the Cheetahs and the potential that they may not be in the Pro 14 or 16 next year? And what's your take on how that decision has been made and taken?
Yeah, before I get there, Andy, Rhyno, I think for you guys, the way you have started, it can be detrimental to your cause, but there's only one way that you can build confidence. There's only one way, and there's only one way you can build team spirit, and that is through winning. And that's exactly what you guys did on Saturday, you know. But the off-field stuff can actually become bigger than what you're there for. You're there to play rugby, and the off-field stuff can actually distract you so much, you know. it's a biblical principle where Peter took his eye off God and he watched the wind and the storm. So the wind and the storm out there might just be too strong at times for the spirit of the team and the boys, So I think you need each other more than ever before to actually make it work for yourselves.
Sure.
Yeah, I think the bad thing of this whole episode is that nobody respect the fact that you guys are the champions in South Africa for the Currie Cup. They made decisions based on what they're feeling and what their pocket and what their promises are to other people, and not on what the real facts are. The fact is that you are the Currie Cup champions and you're playing a Currie Cup competition now. And from this Currie Cup competition, I think this is where you guys should have pitched your emphasis. What next, But now somebody has just pulled the mat under you, and most of you guys are lying flat on your face. Disappointments are huge. The bridges that you build, the relationships that you have been able to do in Europe, suddenly is not there anymore. It's a hell of a culture shock for you guys. But then again, when you look at the decisions that we do make, the rugby decisions that we do make, then you get to one conclusion: it doesn't exist in South Africa. Nobody makes rugby decisions in South Africa. Every decision around rugby is made around something else so that rugby can fit into that cupboard. Rugby has become in this country just like a trophy. You lock it up in the cupboard. Everybody stands there, but they're behind the mirror. They can't touch it. They're not part of it. You just have to abide by the laws of that thing. So yeah, for Free State, for everybody in Free State, I feel for you guys, because you guys had it. Yeah, you worked it so hard to actually be in control, And by saying this, you have changed your abilities to the authority to lead rugby in South Africa, but nobody's giving you a chance to show them. I always prayed in my life for one chance to fail. Nobody want to give me that chance because I will never fail. So that's what they're doing to you guys. You are praying for one chance to fail, but nobody's giving you a chance to fail.
That is very well said. I like that.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put. Rhyno, obviously, I suppose things like this can galvanise a squad, and it looks as though it is certainly galvanising you guys on the field. But this Currie Cup will come to an end, and there will, decisions will be made official, and things will change. What's the feeling? Because I think what a lot of people don't realise is that it's not just the players. It's not just the players. It's the whole franchise. It's the fans. It's the man or lady that makes the tea and serves the lunch. It's the top try scorer, which just so happens to be you. But there you go. What's the feeling?
About me now? Are you talking about me now?
Not. Yeah, your time is gone. Your time is gone. You're done. Playing. I mean, not just the players, but the whole feeling around the whole franchise at the moment. What is that like to be part of?
I think it would be, let me say, probably harsh or unfair for me to speak for the whole of the Cheetah, the brand, the family, the company. I can speak to what it's been like for me and what it's been like to go into the stadium. So, to be honest with you, Andy, it's been difficult, but it's been difficult for longer than people know. We knew for a long time this was coming. Whatever we read in the papers now and hear now that this is COVID related, that's a lie. This decision has been made a long time ago. We've been told at numerous occasions that the decision is not performance based. So it's not because we are the 5th best union in South Africa. It's due to various other reasons, basically outside of our control. And that perhaps is the hardest pill to swallow. Because like Coach Peter said, we were happy to say, let's play Currie Cup. Top 4 teams play in pro rugby. We are happy to put our name on the line. Why are the other 4 unions not happy to do that? Or why is SA Rugby or whoever is making these decisions? We don't know. But why are they afraid to put the 5 people, put all 5, put all 7 of us into the ring? Top 4 goes through to Pro 14. Why are they afraid of that equation? And it might just be because they suspect the same as what we suspect, that their elective 4 will not be won't come to pass. And that's probably what's been the most like disappointing. We saw it coming a long time, and that's probably why the announcement, what was it now, 2 weeks ago, wasn't as harsh for us as perhaps our extended families and stuff. As you rightfully also say, it's not just me. I sit here in Bloemfontein, it's my wife and I, we've got a little dog. And my parents are not dependent on me to like bring income and so on and so on. But you get people that are the only breadwinner in like an extended family. Now you're telling him, thank you for all of your efforts, but it's done now. It doesn't mean anything because this decision is above your pay grade. And guys are going to lose work. I have friends that have been playing at the Kings. People just don't care. To them, it's rugby. To them, it's a team. To them, it's entertainment. To me, it's my life. To me, it's how I put bread on the table. And I just think with the people that are making these decisions are hidden behind doors and walls and wearing suits, and they don't have to put on an armor like we do and go fight. And I just think that's probably the biggest, the thing that spoils the whole experience. Really, a change of scenery is not bad, but you cannot, like Coach Peter said, rip the rug out under somebody and then just walk with the rug and be like, good luck. If something comes, good luck. And that's kind of what it feels like's happened now.
Yeah.
Can I just come in here? Rhyno, can I just come in here? Very important for you guys is that you need to win this Currie Cup. You just need to win this Currie Cup competition for yourselves, so that whatever people say, you show them. But if you don't win it, they have a valid reason. At this moment, they have an excuse, but you're gonna give them a reason to say that's the reason why you're not there. That's the first thing that I want to say there. The second thing is very, very important. As a child, I always looked up to my father. He was my hero in everything he did. He taught me so much about the school of life. And whenever we went to places, he would first look at me and then do the stuff that he did, so that he never disappoints me. And up till today, he's not with us anymore. But up till today, I respect him so much for the fact that he has shown me how to be a proper person, how to care for other people, and how to put other people's interests first. Now, your father is SA Rugby at the moment, and he doesn't care if you have food on the table or a place to sleep, or he doesn't just care about his children. And the only asset that we do have as a rugby union in this country is our players. Now we have an excuse. We say we are competing with a euro, and we are competing with the pounds. That's not true. That's not true. The first thing, we don't put job satisfaction for our players here. We have nothing to keep them. Now, if I can get 50 cents and in Paul, and I can get 250 cents in Worcester, I'll go fetch it in Worcester. But if there's job satisfaction and there's a future for me in Paul, I'll stay with the 50 cents. But there's no choices to be made by rugby players in this country. So that is the reason why they go off. They don't have a future here if they do stay here, because of the 9-10 years they do have to play. Nobody's put anything in place for them, and then something like this to you guys also happen. So actually, if I can put it in bluntly language, we've got a drunk father who's never at home and will always expect food at the time that he comes. So if you say anything, you're in trouble tomorrow. But he's absent, and he's shining in his absence.
Yeah. I can't really add to that. What I'm going to say here is that obviously there are some current, or a certain current Springbok, and then there's a former Springbok well within the Cheetahs ranks. And one of those that has been very vocal in the last couple of weeks is Rhyno Smith, and has said that one of the things that has upset him the most is that Saru haven't looked you in the eyes. They haven't looked you in the eyes and just said, this is happening. It's all been done through the media. Now, Peter, you obviously know Rhyno better than probably even Rhyno, to be honest, because of obviously he was part of your Springbok team. How do you think he's feeling now, without obviously making any assumptions, and we're not speaking on behalf of Rhyno at all, but you talk about sons of Springbok Rugby and Saru. Rhyno is definitely one of those people. He must be hurting right now, and I'm not surprised that he's been so vocal in his protestation of what's happening.
Yeah, if you look at Rhyno and you look at Rhyno, I don't think there's a difference. The one only has his future still right up in front of him, and the other one is actually close to say goodbye to the past, you know. But the one thing that's the same with him, Rhyno's going there to write his own script and to write his own future for himself. And the respect that I do have for a guy like Rhyno, he came back. He could just retire and say, I had enough. He came back to the place of his love where he has learned his trade. He came back to come end it off there at a very high. Now somebody has took away that dream of his to end it off in a high for himself, and made some bad decisions. But the one thing that I am very happy about, and I've got new respect for Rhyno, is that he's not only a captain on the field. He stood up for his players. He don't expect anybody to agree what he says. He's feeling the blunt. He know what his players is going through. So he's putting out his neck for them and for himself and for everybody and for the union. And that is a sign of a true leader. He's a very honest person, I can tell you. He understands professionalism. He works very hard to be the best. So when Rhyno comes out with this, with the statements that he came out with, is that it's not the statements in my mind that count. It's the fact that where it comes from, and I know it's straight from his heart.
Yeah, absolutely. There's obviously been a lot of leaders in the group recently, Rhyno, and they're obviously standing out. But who's really sort of holding this together and driving forward? Is it just a collective, or you know, some people tend to sort of stand back and let other people talk, but you're obviously all in this together.
I think that's been one of the one of the awesome stuff that's presented itself through this really difficult time has been that there's been the sense of unity amongst the Oaks, and we've had many meetings, as you can imagine, as like team and management, and then we've had just management, and then we've had management with director, board of directors, and board of directors with Saru, and there's been a to and fro, and largely for us from the player side, it's been Rhyno and William Smith, who obviously in different capacities really, but what I really like, Coach Peter said, Rhyno is an awesome leader, and it's in times like this that leadership for me is like most valuable and portrayed the best. Like, if you are the guy that can lift the trophy after a Currie Cup final, anyone can do that, to be fair. But like now, it's tough now, and you are willing to come out and say, I don't know how long Rhyno's going to play. Let's say, for the sake of the argument, he thinks he's got 2 more years in him. He could effectively be ruining whatever 2 years he had in him, or the potential of 2 years. He could be ruining that by saying what he's saying, but that doesn't matter. And he has made that clear to us in player meetings, and he's also then obviously come out and said that in the media, that I'm at the end of my career. My fight is not for myself. And that selflessness of that, like just of the act of being able to, or being willing to lay down whatever's left of your career, in the hope that we've got two young nines as well there. For instance, Revan Creer and Ruben Daas. Ruben Daas played for USA, and he's basically saying, if I can lay down the 2 years of my career that I had left for Ruben and Revan to have a career here, then I'm happy to do that. And for me, as a player that joined a year ago, I find such confidence in knowing that that's the kind of people that are fighting for the Cheetahs. And to further that point, I think that the Cheetahs are the kind of brand that people grow up in Bloemfontein and they love the Cheetahs. They love for Bloemfontein. It's scary how passionate people are about the Cheetahs. And that's why this thing hurts so much. But at the same time, that's why people are in uproar about this thing. I don't think you're finding people from across the world fighting this fight necessarily, or maybe they are, but they certainly aren't fighting it the way that people in Bloemfontein, born and bred Cheetahs, how they are fighting for this. And yeah, if only this battle was won in the streets, then the decision obviously would not have. But like we mentioned, these decisions and these are not made where us mere mortals can have an influence on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it's probably not massive consolation, but you have definitely, as a group, gained a lot of fans. There's a lot of people willing the Cheetahs to win this, and I'm certainly one of them. Bit of orange in the shirt tonight, just for you, Rhyno. Guys, there's a few comments coming in. Joe, if we can put them up. For young fans, I enjoyed watching the Cheetahs in the Pro 14. We as a rugby family wished you guys would stay in the league. Don't we all? Don't we all? Big games this weekend. G-Man, obviously part of the ThreeBOD family. Big games this weekend. Can't wait. I hope the Cheetahs make waves. Been looking forward to this show. Thanks, G-Man. It's good to know you're there. Look at this. All this support for you. Hope Cheetahs are in the Super Rugby Unlocked. Absolutely. I'll let you read that on your own, Rhyno. Stuart Weir. Sari knew what they were going to do before they allowed the Kings franchise back. It was always going to fit 6 into 4. Get rid of the Kings, then they only have to deal with 1. Probably Sari's plan. Cheaper to pay the Cheetahs off. Hashtag bullshit. I'll say it. And finally, I'm actually going to let one of you boys read that because you know my Afrikaans is ropey at best.
Rhyno is jou goed hy. Dis joune. Lees
yeah, that's a friend of mine. Wellington trots boya 100% after you. Thanks, Otta.
Oh, you have friends? Yeah. Rhyno, you have.
He's cheating on power.
It's something that I can't say, Andy. I can't say I have friends. Well done, brother. Listen here, Rhyno, to go back to that one note there, and what people don't understand is that your dreams that your family has for you is also scattered, and the pain that they are going through where they are. The joy of their life was to sit and watch you, not scoring tries, just doing something on the field, just running onto the field, and they're part of it. Now to steal that away from a whole family, I even going to take it further where you come from, to steal that away from a whole community, because you inspire so much other boys in the streets there to become like you. Now they won't see you guys at that level anymore. So tomorrow, if we ask why do we have that many gangsters, and then Saru can't answer that questions because they don't look that far, they only look at the small 2 meters in front of them in the eyes of the guys sitting right across of them. And sadly, this game that belongs to all South Africans has been stolen from a hell of a lot of South Africans at this moment. And we know the smaller the group, the quicker that we were going to struggle. So yeah, I'm very worried about our rugby, if it's really in the right hands, if the right people is there. I do understand that there's a professional part that has to be played, money has to come in, and I understand those kind of things, but I'm telling you, left is left and right is right and wrong is wrong and whatever. If you can make a decision where you can wash your hands as a rugby governing body and say, wow, we gave everybody a chance. Sorry, Mr. Western Province, or sorry, Mr. Bulls, and sorry, Mr. Cheetahs, you didn't perform. You didn't live up to what our standards in this country is. Sorry, we can't have you. We want you, but we can't have you because of yourself, you know. I think that would have gone down with the fans. It would have gone down with the trust that people want to put in rugby. And I'm gonna say something here that I learned from this whole episode is that the government, people fight the government because they intervene in sport. Now, the rugby people or the sport people in South Africa, they can't run the sport the way they should run it. And then government have to intervene. They have to come to the party because the sport people is not there for the reason why people have elected and selected them to run the sport for the people of the country. And before that's going to change, before they become pure in their hearts again and be there for the right reasons, it will never come right. And just people like you, you could have built such a great future for yourself. 2 more seasons playing in Europe, you could have earned another contract in Europe the way you play, you know. Now they're taking away all those opportunities and nobody cares. That's my problem. Nobody cares.
Can I just add to that, Andy? Sorry, I just want to say that's been that's what doesn't make sense about the rationale. We've heard that. I think Coach Rassie himself mentioned that Ireland have been doing it, that they have 4 major franchises that feed into the national team. Now, first and foremost, Ireland has 8 million people in their country, 4 million. South Africa has almost 10 times that, 8 times that. The sheer numbers don't make that equation tally. What you mentioned now, Coach Peter, is that now there are less kids that come from where I come from that are playing rugby. There are less kids that come from next door to where I'm staying right now in Bloemfontein. William Smith mentioned it the other day on the radio. He said what's disappointing for him is when his son, he's got a 1-year-old son. He says when his son is now 4 or 5 years old, who's he going to watch on TV? He lives in Bloemfontein. Who are his heroes growing up? Because William can remember who his were, but his son won't have that same opportunity. And as you mentioned, perhaps the people that are making these decisions don't think further than the ideals that they've set ahead of time. And just, it is nogals disappointing the amount of opportunities that are being taken. But furthermore, like my career, maybe 10 years more if I'm lucky, the Cheetah franchise is 130 years old. So this is much greater than me. The Cheetahs franchise is here long before me. And for all intents and purposes, it's supposed to be around for much longer than I'm here. But I might very well see the end of it. And it just feels like it's not the way that, it's not natural. It's not the way that the cycle of life should work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it is heartbreaking to watch at the moment. And I've already told Rhyno that he needs to come and join Bath. A back 3 of him, Watson and McConaughey or Coconut Singer would just be dynamite. So if anyone's watching from there, he said he'd come over. I'm just saying. They've got the text. It's fine. Guys, halfway through the show.
There's no sunshine. There's no sunshine. And Rhyno doesn't have the color for Bath. No,
there's really hot baths there. It'll be fine. It'll be absolutely
fine. We like sun. This color likes sun.
It's right. There's plenty of tanning salons in the UK, mate. It's big booming business. That's somewhere that's definitely going well. Guys, halfway through the show, brilliant to have these 2 guys on tonight and talk sense and talk openly, which is what we are all about. As Joe keeps telling me, we do have a new Facebook page, guys. So please get over to that. It's facebook.com/3Bokke Rugby. The other one wouldn't let us join any groups. So it looks exactly the same. And the other one will go back into it. So you will all move across, hopefully. But that is the new Facebook page. Right, moving on. I always feel like I'm talking negative, but there isn't a lot of good going on at the moment. So there is rugby back on the field, though. And that's a good thing. Peter, anything from the weekend that stands out from you? Any players that played well, or any teams that underperformed? Bulls that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I need to mention not because of Rhyno and not because of what the show is all about, but I need to mention glimpses of my tenure as a Springbok coach came back when I watched Cheetahs play on Friday. They are the only team at this moment who understands the game rugby. Rugby is not about the best players playing for you. It's about the best team playing for you. And if you look at the 23 players that were involved in that game, it was the toughest thing. If there was accolades to be handed out on Monday, it would have been the toughest thing, because the team actually played very, very well. The forwards as a unit, they grinded and they gave quick and good ball to the backs. The backs actually understood space. They understood the width of the field. They showed us that everybody who thought that the Sharks were what's his name? They played against Pumas. Everybody who thought that the Pumas were the hard hitters on defense, they just showed them that there was no resistance on defense, you know. And it's not because their defense now suddenly became worse or bad. It's just because how the Cheetahs has grinded and took them off the field as a unit, you know. They again showed that scoring tries is still the greatest part of playing this game. And then on the other games, everybody were lucky to lose and everybody were lucky to win there, because there was nothing. You couldn't pick a winner from that. Rugby was actually at moments it was the loser, because guys are letting me down at the moment. If I were the Springbok coach, I would have been very, very worried about the levels of competency, the levels of their skill, and the fact that they only playing towards a plan and not playing towards the situations that can arise in front of them. And that is to me a worrying thing in this competition. So even if we have started this competition at the same time as the All Blacks and Wallabies, we would still have been underdone because of the fact how we approach these games, you know.
Yeah, Rhyno, how are the squad feeling afterwards? The bit of tiredness at the end, I imagine, a few points leaked, but hey ho, when you're that far ahead. Like percentage-wise, where do obviously you're not playing competitively yet, and you will be, but where do they feel they're at? 80, 90%, 70?
No. They're 60. They're 62%. Cheetahs are actually at 62%. They can still grow and grow and grow and grow. But the one thing that can stop them growing is their heads, you know. If they can get the game out of their head, if they can get the politics out of their head, if they can still live for each other and do what they do best, I'm telling you, and then they will grow. We're gonna enjoy them more and more, because there's individuals who are actually matches in that game. They are lighting the fires, and I'm telling you now, all their dry leaves, they just keep on sparking from what the guys are doing. So yeah, they're only 60. They're only 60% at this stage. They're not really very good. But the way they went apart in that 60% that they showed, never allowed the Pumas to come back. I mean, that consolation tries that the Pumas scored is nothing that they can feel too good about. Nothing to go work on, because they then played against a team who was actually the tank was empty. The tank was empty at 60 minutes, you know. So yeah, they're gonna grow. I'm telling you, they're gonna grow if they can keep their feet on the ground.
I'm sure they will. Rhyno, how are the boys feeling after? How are the coaches feeling afterwards?
A lot like Coach said. We felt very middle of the pack as far as what you're going for, but with the eye on peaking at the right time. There's no point in playing your 5 best games of the year, week 1, 2, and 3, and then in a warm-up game as well. That doesn't make sense. So we're hoping to keep building towards. Obviously, these first 6 games are a tournament on their own, and it would be amazing for the Cheetahs to go and win that one, because by then all the Springboks are still here, and nobody has any excuses for whatever the results are. So that's an important one for us, probably more on a sentimental note than anything. And then obviously going on and into Currie Cup that has a final waiting for us in January. So we feel that there were moments of our previous coach, Coach Franco, he used to say he rates the game 4 out of 10, but there were moments of 10 out of 10 actions. And I guess that probably sums up the game at best. There were moments of 10 out of 10 actions. I think about Spekky's try off Blommer's offload. I think about Bernard's offload behind the back to Junior Pokomela. Moments like that are what we hope to string together for 80 minutes. And ultimately, and that is with all due respect said to the Pumas, they probably weren't at their best, and we were firing really high. And perhaps it's a South African thing, perhaps it's a Cheetah thing, perhaps I don't know. But it's almost like we feel sorry for teams or people, or like you don't want to give them 90. If you're playing well and the team is playing below par and they deserve to take 90, or you deserve to give them a 90, then you must go for it. You must go flat box to the end. That killer instinct perhaps is the one thing that we were lacking. So yeah, definitely something we spoke about, something we're working on, and something we hope to rectify, because the Bulls is a different challenge altogether.
Yeah, big game this weekend. The Stormers, Peter, start this weekend. 7 starting Springbok World Cup finalists. Sorry, Springbok winners. Sorry, it just still hurts. Stormers, are you excited about what they could be bringing to the table? What sort of brand of rugby are you expecting from them?
Well, I expected much more from the Lions Saturday. They just don't want to win matches, The Lions are just happy to be there.
Can I just cut in? He's saying this because he got his Super Brew pick wrong, and I did tell him before. I told him beforehand we were going to win.
Yeah, you're quite right. I'm not good at picking winners. I'm good at coaching winners. If you look at how the Lions are playing, and you look at what's happening in SA Rugby, SA Rugby could get the best out of those top teams by allowing them to play for something. There's not a lot of time. Then they're gonna start that Pro 14, and whatever happens, they're still gonna be there. So they don't have to fire on all cylinders. They are actually getting themselves only ready for that competition. Stormers will be a better team on the day because they're playing back home too. And if the Lions are going to show the attitude that they did show on Saturday, yeah, they will again not win. They're not losers. I mean, they're the Lions. They're not losers, but they won't win.
Yeah. So we're speaking of Springboks. The decision was finally made today. Not official yet because they probably need another 48 hours to make a decision, but it looking 99% sure that they are not going to go down to New Zealand, Australia, wherever this Rugby Championship is supposed to be played. Peter, the correct decision for you?
No, not at all. I want to show the world why I'm the best. That's my take on this. I want to go play and I don't want to talk rugby. I was going to show the world why I'm the best, But if you look at what they did with that green and gold team, you could see that they aren't very serious with actually getting a team together. They just did something to actually satisfy. To me, maybe it was SuperSport who forced them to play it. I don't know, but they did something there just to satisfy people. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard for SuperSport if they don't go, because they might lose a hell of a lot of money. And And SA Rugby is making money decisions more than rugby decisions. So I can't see this two contradicting each other, Leaving, I mean, go out there, go play the damn game, go see where you really at. And fire the guys up. It's opportunity for the next 4 years to actually blood some youngsters into what is actually expected of them there. Losing this one competition only, or not being at the best at one competition, there's still 4 years to get yourself ready, and you're gonna see that the top names, not the top players, because I didn't see the top players playing top rugby at the moment. The top names in the country, they are very mediocre at this stage, and they're not setting a target for these youngsters to actually show that they are better than them, and that is worrying to me. That you make your decision to be dropped so easy, but what they do know is that it's tough for people to drop them. They're gonna be there for whatever they want to be there, but they're not showing the reasons why they should be there, and that is exactly what my problem at this moment is. Is that those 7 Springboks should actually play like Springboks on Saturday. If not, they just only Springboks by name,
Rhyno, are you happy that all the Springboks are going to be playing in these competitions, and it just motivates you more to sort of go and win this? And what's the general feeling of someone like Frans Steyn? Was he somebody that wanted to go and play? Is he just that natural animal that just wants to play Test rugby?
Again, I can't speak to Frans and his mentality about playing championship or not, but he is the kind of player that wants to play against the best people in the world. He wants to be tested at the highest level that we've got. And if COVID didn't allow it, it's one thing. If it's governing bodies that don't allow it, it's a whole different thing. Or if it's decisions we're making that's preventing ourselves from playing, that's a whole different thing altogether. So I guess it's a matter of balancing. What's that thing? I have a subject, economics they call it. When you give up something in order to get something back. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
The opportunity cost. So what you're willing to lose in order to gain something else. And I think we might mention to it. It's a bit of a tender subject, the green and gold game. I obviously didn't make that squad, and I won't say I was surprised, but I was definitely disappointed not to have made it. Not for any other reason except that there were guys there that have never played a game outside of school. There were guys there that haven't played 15s rugby on the highest level for more than a year, 2, 3, I don't know, and still they made the squads. And so that's what actually left a bit of a bad taste. I ended up watching the game against my better judgment and wasted 2 hours of my life. It's
and that's
not the kind of
why
rugby.
I'm happy, and that is the reason. Sorry to interrupt you, and that is the reason why I am happy that you weren't there. Because it would have bring your value so much down. So in your mind, in my mind, and in your supporters' mind, the fact that you weren't there allowed you to be actually feel proud on the fact that you weren't part of a spectacle that everybody wants to forget.
No, that's true, but at the same time, coach, as a young player growing up in South Africa, you watch the Springboks. I grew up in Paarl, so obviously I watched the Stormers, and you idolize those guys. You want to play at those different levels. I've been fortunate. The first time I wore a green and gold jersey was literally 2 years ago. In any kind of capacity, I was never in a junior setup squad, nothing, and those are moments that I cherish so much. I played for the BlitzBOD Academy side, and that jersey, I almost value the one that I got first, my academy jersey, more than my BlitzBOD cap. Just because of what it symbolizes, more than it's not about one guy or another guy or anything. That's the same emblem that Gio Aplon. I grew up idolizing Gio Aplon big time, so I'm looking forward to meeting him tomorrow, by the way. But him, a guy like Andre Hubert before him, Ruan's dad, it's the same emblem. and that's come through all of those years. So you become part of that family. You become like associated with that lifelong tradition of the best that your country has to offer. And now that opportunity is decided to be kept from you for whatever that reason may be. There could be very good reasons why I didn't make that squad. I'm not saying I should have. Again, I'm just speaking. I felt disappointed because of various reasons. Whether or not that indicates that I am entitled or not, so be it. But anyways, I just feel that there are so many guys that are excited about playing for the Springboks. There are so many guys excited about representing the country that want a shot. There's about, let's say, a year. There's 12 months between now and when the British Irish Lions arrive here. You're saying to those kids, to those players, to those whoever they are, that we won a World Cup last year and we are happy to pick all 33 of those people again. None of you actually have a chance. Nothing you can do between now and then will change my mind. And that for me is a mistake. That for me goes against the very fibers that run sport, that should run sport. Sport is about competing. Sport is about being your best, facing the best on his best day, and then we decide and find out who is actually number one. That's what sport's about. And it feels like that element of, I won't say, yeah, but that element of competition, internal competition, is kind of being stripped away, and it's reserved for certain people to go and represent at certain levels. And that's kind of, I guess that's just my opinion about it at this point.
Yeah, I think you being the top try scorer in one of the top leagues in the world would give you. There's no entitlement there, Rhyno. That's you being a player good enough to go and play in that game. Peter, would you, as a coach, okay, maybe you are going to go down there. Maybe you do want to protect the guys from last year, but wouldn't there be huge value in taking a squad that has players like Rhyno, that has young players who are potentially either on the fringe or in 2 or 3 years' time, even if they don't play, I'm talking about young players now, but to get that experience of touring, traveling, and actually, I'll take Rhyno as an example. You don't know whether Rhyno all of a sudden is just a massive test match beast, because we're seeing it all over the world. I'm seeing players since this lockdown who start at the World Cup being very average for their club, yet will get picked again for their country because they are test match beasts, as we say, or they've got BTM or BMT or whatever. And it's surely there would be a value in picking 35 Rhynos and going down south and having a good crack almost with no pressure.
I hear what Rhyno is saying, and it actually brings a tear to my eye to think that we are abusing our players and forget that they are also human beings with feelings, But I don't want Rhyno to take this personal. This whole thing wasn't well thought through, and I am happy that you weren't part of it, because there's no hope for those players who were there. They just had to fill up numbers, and I know, just for you to be there would have made a huge difference in your mindset. But I think we must understand that your life is not in the hands of people, and people never made you. Your hands is in much higher and bigger. Your life is in much higher and bigger hands, and that is the only thing for you to get over this whole thing. And blame yourself for one reason. It's not what you think that will make me good enough. It's what I think that will make me good enough. It's not the opportunities you steal from me that will make me better. It's the opportunities I'm going to take that will make me better. And I want to tell you something, Rhyno, that up to now you has actually stole a lot of hearts of a lot of people who never knew you before, who saw you coming through the Varsity Cup and see you coming through the Super Rugby and for the Sharks and those kind of teams, and then back to the Cheetahs. there are more people that values you than what you think. So don't let, as I said about the Cheetahs team, don't let one or two decisions steal your joy or make you negative. The only thing that I never did when I was a Springbok coach, when people said I wasn't good enough, I never tried to show them that they were wrong. But because if you want to show some people that they were wrong, then somewhere in your mind you also thought they were right. You know? So forget about that. Forget about those things. God has a bigger plan for your life, for your way, for whatever you want to use you in. And just be true to yourself and live in that blessings that's bestowed on you. So don't fall in a trap of starting to blame people who's not worthy of your blame. That's number one. Number two, coming back to if we were the coach then, I thought, and I would stand by it, I think that playing another Super Saturday with a team like bringing the Cheetahs into and whatever, all six of them or six of the seven would have been much better, because then the guys would play in an environment that they understand, they know, and as the coach then of the Springboks, you can evaluate the players much better. What bothers me is that at this stage they don't know who's their number one, number two, number three, number four. They are living in the past. The players of South Africa who's doing actually not too bad in Europe. They never has played in the Southern Hemisphere since last year. So the speed of the game is much quicker. So even if those guys were here, it would still have been a different story. But we never ever took the chance to actually rate our players from 1 to 10 in each position, and we has now missed the opportunity again to do that. So I understand why South Africa don't want to go play in New Zealand. They're not scared of losing. They're scared of being annihilating, and that is what's going to happen there. Because if you look at why is the Pumas so quiet? Argentina, you don't hear anything of them. They just go about doing their job and adhering and serving the game and giving their players the opportunity. We are stealing it from our players in this country. If it's now the Kings or Border or Cheetahs or whatever, wherever Saro has to make a rugby decision, they're not competent enough to make it. So Rhyno, again, back to you. Don't you worry. Focus on your level of play. Where were you before you got injured? Get back to that, because if you get into the field and you're underdone, people are still gonna say, and that is the reason why they didn't select him. Do you understand? So you have to go back onto the field at the level where you left it. And I know you can. I know you're a fighter, because you come from Paul. I mean, all the fighters is from Paul. So I think we said enough about SA Rugby and the incompetencies and all those kind of things. I think we should start focusing on I don't know how do you say, Mr. Daniel, but I think we should focusing on the closeness of getting a hiding from the Aussies for the All Blacks.
I've got written here, Bledisloe Cup. Talk to me. Let's just talk about that. How good was that to watch? I mean, obviously, in my opinion, Australia should have won it. But I've got one question and one question only. Drop goal. Why are we scared? Yeah, right.
It's not even a question. It's not a question.
It's a statement. So I do have a question. Peter, Rieko Ioane, what do you do in the changing room with him afterwards? Are you killing him or what are you doing?
No, I hand him over his plane ticket. When I get out of this changing room, I want to see you on a plane. There's no way, and people must understand. talking to Rhyno now, who is going to play for this country. It's going to take time, but he will play for this country.
Believe.
If you don't take the chances at hand, don't blame other people. You know? And in Test rugby, those chances are very, very, very slim. And there's no time to show off, or there's no time to show other people how bad they are and how good you are. You just go about doing the job that you've been paid for to go do, and that is to go win the damn test. Yeah, maybe Rico, but I'm telling you, I don't want to face an Australian team that is so ruthless on defense, the way that guy and that guys were. You know, Australia were the best defensive team when I was the coach of the Springboks. We could play against the All Blacks any day, and we could run through them because they weren't that good on defense as what Australia were. But they added another dimension to the structure of defense, and that is they start hurting people when they carry the ball. So they actually controlled the All Blacks when the All Blacks had the ball, you know, and that is something that the All Blacks were cautioned of for years, because they dictated the rugby and they wanted people to follow them, and everybody followed them, and they couldn't do what they did so good. Now the Wallabies is setting a trend and say, listen, this is our strengths, and if we get the ball, you guys gonna try and stop us because we got game breakers in almost any position out wide. We're not bashing at 13 and 12 anymore and 10. We are running lines that we don't even know existed. And yeah, I think they were very unlucky not to win that game. But then again, it will go down in history as a drawn test. And nobody will talk after 10 years of the way that they played. So another opportunity missed for them. I don't think they're going to have it as easy sailing coming this week, because the surprise that they showed is not going to be there again. But still, I'm looking forward, because it's definitely they're competing at every situation on the field. There's a competition. It's not that the All Blacks are running wild again. And I think that is the reason. That test is the reason why South African rugby needed another 48 hours.
Rhyno, that Australian team, you probably recognised it because it had all the hallmarks of a Dave Rennie team, did it not?
It did. It's interesting that you say it. I also did. I did notice it. He's a good coach that's got a plan, and one that he kind of tries to take a template to no matter where he goes, and it's one that works. And so it's interesting that you say it as well. It's cool to see, and just genuinely a test match I enjoyed watching. I can't watch rugby as a fan really anymore. Everything is kind of studying and looking for material and weaknesses and strengths and plans. But that was just a good test match. I could watch it as a fan, and I don't support either one of those teams, obviously. And just incredible 90 minutes of rugby.
Yeah, well, let's hope we get it again. I hope we get it again this week. Getting up early is hard work, though, I must say. It's all about the highlights and the replays. Highlights and the replays on a Sunday morning. But, right, guys, an hour flown by. Unbelievable. Thank you so much for your time. Talking rugby with you two is always a joy. And as always, with people that come on our show, we try and get the honest, unfiltered version of them, and you always give that to us, and we love that. And that's why this show is so good, because we just chat. That's definitely not because of me. So guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support, Workshop 17. As we said earlier, we do have a new Facebook page, so please get onto that. You can also watch this now on Twitch, as well as YouTube and Facebook. So we're taking over the cyber world. But from us this evening, and from Peter and from Rhyno and for Joe backstage, thank you very, very much. And we will see you in a couple of weeks' time for another show.
Thank you.